What happens when one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses clashes with a seasoned news anchor who won't back down from tough questions? You get one of the most explosive and unforgettable moments in live television history. A moment so raw and unexpected, it brought one of America's biggest morning shows to a dead stop. What was supposed to be a simple chat turned into a televised war that would fuel days of national debate. This was supposed to be a routine morning show appearance. A simple, friendly chat on a summer morning in August 2025, but it turned into an all-out war. Stay tuned, because the story you think you know from the viral clips is only the tip of the iceberg. To truly understand what happened in that studio, you have to understand the immense pressures that led to that moment. We're going to dissect every single second, every calculated question, and every blistering response. And hey, if you believe in deep dive analysis that goes beyond the headlines, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss what's coming. First, we need a prologue. Let's call it the anatomy of an ambush. To grasp the electricity in that room, you have to see the storm clouds that have been gathering for months. By mid-2025, the landscape of morning television was a battlefield. Traditional networks like ABC, home of Good Morning America, were feeling the heat. Their ratings, while still substantial, were showing signs of erosion. The competition wasn't just other networks, it was the entire internet. They were losing the younger demographic to streamers, to TikTok, to YouTube commentary channels. On their flank, a rival, the fictional morning show Sunrise Today, had hired a former political operative as its lead anchor and adopted a pugnacious populist style. They were creating viral moments daily, and the pressure was mounting on GMA to keep up, to be edgier, to generate heat. Sources inside the network would later leak parts of a memo from a top executive that circulated that summer. It spoke of the need for high-impact interviews and brand-defining moments. It was corporate jargon for, "We need blood in the water." This is the environment that George Stephanopoulos, a man whose career was built on sharp political analysis, was now operating in. He was being pushed by his bosses, and perhaps by his own professional pride, to prove he could still dominate the conversation. He needed a big target, and he found one in Jennifer Lawrence. On the surface, she was the perfect guest, A-list, promoting a major film, beloved by the public. But for George's purposes, she was also the perfect target. She was outspoken politically. She was a business owner. She was wealthy. She was, in his view, a bundle of perceived contradictions, ready to be exploited. So his team went to work. This wasn't a casual prep session. This was opposition research. His producers, young, ambitious, and eager to please their star anchor, compiled a dossier. They pulled every interview she'd ever given on social issues. They subpoenaed public records of her production company's tax filings in Georgia. They scoured Hollywood trade papers for casting news and gossip. They cross-referenced her environmental advocacy with flight records for her film's production schedules. They built a murder board, a detailed map of her entire public life, looking for pressure points. Every question George would later ask was workshopped, refined, and ordered for maximum impact. They weren't preparing for an interview. They were preparing for a trial. Meanwhile, Jennifer Lawrence's team was operating in a different reality. Her publicist had a standard, friendly call with the GMA booker. They sent over the pre-approved talking points, all focused on Fractured Mirror, its themes, her preparation for the role, anecdotes from the set. They believed they had a simple contract with the show. In exchange for the presence of a major star, the show would get a charming, entertaining segment that would serve as a nice promotion for both the film and the network. It's a contract that has existed in Hollywood for decades, an unspoken agreement of mutual benefit. They had no idea that, on the other side, the contract had been shredded and rewritten into a declaration of war. This brings us to the day itself. Jennifer arrived at the New York studio in a black town car, looking relaxed and professional. As she walked through the halls, she was the Jennifer Lawrence the public knew. She complimented a production assistant on her earrings. She joked with the makeup artist about the perils of early morning call times. She was gracious. She was present. She was disarmingly normal. She was, in short, walking into a trap completely unaware. George Stephanopoulos, by contrast, had been at the studio for hours. He skipped the usual morning production meeting banter, sequestering himself in his dressing room, poring over his note cards. When he emerged, his demeanor was cool, detached. He offered a curt, professional hello to Jennifer's publicist, but avoided eye contact with the star herself. A seasoned observer would have felt a chill in the air, a disconnect between the show's cheerful branding and the grim focus of its lead anchor. But in the whirlwind of a live broadcast, these subtle signs were easily missed. They were all about to go live. The stage is set. The Good Morning America studio, the famous blue and orange set, is lit to perfection, designed to feel like a warm, inviting living room. But today, it feels like a courtroom, or perhaps an arena. Jennifer Lawrence and George Stephanopoulos are seated in comfortable chairs, a coffee table between them. The studio audience, buzzing with the excitement of being on live TV, applauds on cue. The floor director counts down with his fingers. 5, 4, 3, 2. George Stephanopoulos. Jennifer, welcome back. It's wonderful to have you here. The buzz around Fractured Mirror is incredible. We were just talking in the production meeting. It feels like this is the film everyone will be talking about this fall. In it, you play a whistleblower, Sarah Keene, taking on a corrupt corporation. A powerful, timely role. Jennifer Lawrence. Thank you, George. It's wonderful to be here. It's a story I felt passionate about from the moment I read the script. It's about speaking truth to power, about the little guy, or in this case, woman, finding her voice against a system designed to keep her quiet. Sarah isn't a superhero. She's just a normal person who is faced with an impossible choice, and she decides to do the right thing, no matter the personal cost. That's a story I think is worth telling. George Stephanopoulos. It certainly is. Before we dive into the film, I just want to say, it's remarkable to see your journey. I remember seeing you in Winter's Bone, that incredible breakout role, so raw, so powerful, and then to watch you navigate the massive global stardom of the Hunger Games, winning an Oscar, and now becoming this powerhouse producer. You were a teenager in Kentucky, dreaming of being an actress. Could you have ever imagined a trajectory like this? Jennifer Lawrence, laughing. Absolutely not. Not in a million years. My plan was to maybe be a doctor or something. Acting was this wild, impossible dream. I think back to that girl who convinced her parents to drive her to New York for auditions, and I can't even believe her audacity. I feel incredibly lucky and grateful for every step of it. It's been a wild ride. George Stephanopoulos. And now you're a mother yourself. Has that changed your perspective on your work, on the stories you want to tell? Jennifer Lawrence. Oh, completely. In every way possible. It rearranges your brain. Suddenly, you're thinking about the world that this little person is going to inherit. It makes the stakes feel so much higher. Telling a story like Fractured Mirror feels less like a job and more like a responsibility. You want to be able to show your kids that you stood for something, that you tried to contribute something meaningful, not just take up space. Narrator. Do you see what he's doing? This is the long con. He's not just asking softball questions. He's performing admiration. He's invoking her past, her journey, her family, her motherhood. He is actively building a connection with her and with the audience. He is making her feel safe, seen, and respected. Every warm question is a thread in the web he is weaving. He is lulling her and all of us into a state of comfort, making the inevitable turn all the more violent. He is not just interviewing her, he is buttering her up for the slaughter. George Stephanopoulos. Well, let's talk about Fractured Mirror. The personal cost for your character is immense. Her CEO, played with terrifying brilliance by Mark Rylance, completely dismantles her life. Was it draining to step into that kind of psychological warfare every day on set? Jennifer Lawrence. It was, absolutely. Mark is such a gentle, lovely person in real life. So seeing him transform into this cold, manipulative monster was genuinely chilling. There were days I'd go home feeling so tense, because Sarah's paranoia becomes your own. You start to understand how a smear campaign works, how they can isolate you and make you feel like you're the one who's crazy. We had the real-life whistleblower on as a consultant, and hearing her stories, the real, tangible threats she faced, it gave us all a profound sense of responsibility to get it right. It's one thing to read about it, but it's another to try and embody that fear and that resolve. George Stephanopoulos. The film is also a major achievement for your production company, Excellent Cadaver. You're building quite the powerhouse. It seems you're as comfortable behind the camera as you are in front of it. Tell me about the name, Excellent Cadaver. It's from a line in a Fellini film, correct? It's a very particular choice. Jennifer Lawrence. It is. It refers to a person of high standing whose murder is easily covered up by the powers that be. We chose it because we felt it reflected the kinds of stories we wanted to tell. Stories about the invisible victims of powerful systems, the people whose voices are often silenced. We want to give a voice to those excellent cadavers, so to speak, to explore the inconvenient truths that often get swept under the rug. George Stephanopoulos. Powerful systems and inconvenient truths. I want to pivot to the business side of your production company. It's been remarkably successful. Jennifer Lawrence stares at George Stephanopoulos. Her voice is calm, but powerful. You want to talk about authenticity, George? For the past 15 minutes, this hasn't been an interview. It's been a prosecution. But you made one critical mistake. You assumed I wouldn't be prepared. She breaks down every accusation: tax credits, hiring practices, personal wealth, environmental impact, and dismantles each with clear facts and sharp logic. Then she leans in. You don't have to be poor to fight poverty. You don't have to be perfect to demand fairness. What you're doing isn't journalism, it's ratings bait, and I won't be part of it. She stands up, removes her mic, and walks off the GMA set without looking back. George sits frozen, stunned. The control room cuts to commercial. Within minutes, social media explodes. Thank you, Jennifer Trends. Celebrities, journalists, and fans rally behind her. News outlets replay the moment endlessly. It becomes more than viral. It becomes a cultural statement. Jennifer Lawrence didn't just walk off a set. She walked into a new role as a symbol of integrity against performative journalism. And America was watching.